I did dedupe the button.
You deduped the button? That means that people can dedupe see us. Cool. This video isn't live, it says. Well, not yet.
There it is.
It's just starting.
Look, we're
always like a minute or two late. We just want to make sure everything's set up. Relax.
And
we're here, guys.
And we didn't jump on until like 58, and then we had like 2. So you're talking. We're out to talk for 35 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. No, it's all good. And you guys can talk amongst yourselves. You know, you wonderful people have had apparently a lot of conversation. I keep scrolling, and it keeps going, and it keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of my thumbnail, by the way?
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
It's always, there's so many expressions of Michael Burnham, and as you know, so many just beauties of Pike.
Yeah.
Every time we see him, it's like this shot's like, hey. Literally, he's got like 3 angles I can do of him. And who's in the middle of this whole thing? That's Kurtzman.
Sadly, yes, this is true.
An interesting fellow. Possibly not the best guy to be running Star Trek. Possibly not the worst guy ever. I mean, he's better than JJ.
This is true. Alex Kurtzman has kind of learned that Star Trek's important and learned from the fans and is trying to make it better.
I'm always, they said, have you noticed every single Star Trek film and show after Enterprise, they always say, oh yeah, we're huge Trek fans, lifelong Trek fans. It's like, if you were lifelong Trek fans, how did you make 09 Into Darkness? Like, you're saying this, and how did you make Discovery Season 1 if you were if the writers are lifelong Trek fans?
What they mean is we've been aware of it our whole lives.
And
we've seen an episode or 2 or 3. When it's on TV, we'll watch it.
Because when Simon Pegg, who is a lifelong Trek fan, wrote Beyond, it was
better.
Yes. And Justin Ling, again, lifelong Trek fan, he said, better. It's not rocket science. So, and when I was watching because that doesn't, not to quote that you have to be a lifelong Trek fan to actually make good Trek. That there's no fresh talent. But even Nicholas Meyer, who came in and did Wrath of Khan, he did it as a film, and he wanted to change more things, but the producer stopped him, and that people who said, it's too far change, by the end of it, he gained such an appreciation for it that by the end he was a Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the stuff he was doing, Trek fan, but, his Trek became the signpost.
Yeah. All day yesterday and for and I'm like, Discovery's on tonight. And then all of a sudden I realized, shit, it's only Wednesday. So all day yesterday I'm planning out my day today, thinking, okay, whatever. So, I'm an idiot.
Gained a day.
I suppose.
Or you lost some sanity.
Yeah, well. Anywho, so we've got 127 people here already. That's fantastic.
48 on mine, so I guess you can talk for a moment. I will share.
Yes. So, I mean, a lot of people have been commenting on our post that I put up earlier today about this live, freaking out about only 3 seasons of Discovery. It's kind of misleading.
Depending on the point of view.
True. Well, no, because they don't want season 3. They're like, we wanted to be canceled after season 2.
This is true.
Those people.
We're kind of the wait and see approach.
Yeah, I've even seen comments. It definitely won't be renewed for season 3. This is, whatever. But anyway.
I remember the rounds we refused to get involved in. It's been cancelled. And it's like, not renewed yet and cancelled are different things.
Yep.
Just so everyone knows.
Absolutely. So anyway, we're going to talk about the article that this came from. The question mark at the end of our thing is a little misleading. I apologize for that, but it's fine. We assume there's going to be at least 3 seasons and likely more from Discovery, looking at the way this is worded. Just that the Section 31 show is going to jump off on it after season 3. So we will talk about all of that as the video continues, but just don't want people freaking out. Just been dealing with those comments all day, and Now, a lot of people are very opposed as well to a Section 31 show, saying that Gene Roddenberry wouldn't have approved, and I kind of agree with that. And I've kind of been saying that all along. Section 31 was kind of a DS9 thing that popped up, and then of course they included it in Enterprise, and now it's just everywhere. It's just Section 31's always there. Everything that soon they're going to be talking that, you know, not yesterday's Enterprise, the Enterprise incident when Kirk is ordered to go steal the Romulan cloaking device is going to be a Section 31 operation. And it's just like, not really. I mean, not everything has to tie into Section 31 now all of a sudden because it's
Otherwise,
a huge deal.
they're not secret. Like,
yeah.
the fun of them is that they're the highest possible end. Like, they're the absolute mostest. If everything's a thing, then, like, it's just less interesting.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Damn it, I forget. Anyway, so when he's done sharing, we'll address this article and kind of read you some of the facts from it and then go from there with our discussion, because I personally feel that Discovery is going to get more than 3 seasons, especially considering the first couple seasons of any Star Trek show are the worst. When you look at it, an overview after the series is done, it does take a while for shows to find their legs. Season 2 is already off to a much better start. They seem to be progressing along nicely and kind of doing some course corrections from season 1.
Although reportedly their all access numbers are actually worse than season 1, so the damage might have already been done. And bottom line figures are sort of important. If they're funding themselves, if funding isn't there, then you can't support a show. Or at least they can make a smarter, cheaper show, because it's one of the most expensive shows on TV, and yet it doesn't necessarily look or feel it.
You know, if they were selling it to networks, though, and not keeping it behind their paywall, it might be a different story. If it could be picked up by another network. Anyway.
Then they'd have some say. They might say...
Oh, yeah, make it Star Trek.
We want prime canon. We want stuff that's... Yeah, it might be too much.
This is a good point.
Whereas if they own it and they say it, then they can do whatever they want, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Right, so we are now shared to the lovely 186 people, so I can swap this article now. Although, guys, why are super chats important?
I was just going to get into that, but you cut me off. I was just going to... and then I was going to say, if you guys want to super chat and put in your 2 cents worth, we will, of course, read your comments, answer your questions. We'll try to address some of the stuff in the regular chat. Looks like you guys have a good conversation going on there back and forth. Just be nice. But super chats are important because they help the channel out immensely, as does our Patreon. If you guys want to help us on a monthly basis, by all means, the link is in the description below, so that you guys can help us out on a monthly basis, or head on over to trekyards.com and do a one-time donation. There's also information for PayPal down below. Now, PayPal, if you donate via PayPal, it actually helps us better because the super chats, YouTube takes 30% right off the top right away.
PayPal is like 3% or something.
Yeah, it's very minimal. So that's also another option. All those options are down below. And don't forget to check out the Teespring store. We got some really cool Trekyards merchandise.
And what's amazing about the PayPal as well is that we use those funds to help support our trips. And so because we had budget raised over a couple of years, we had to get some really awesome, really awesome prints where they're going to be able to offer for Indiegogo, which then fund trips we're doing, which, again, really awesome. So that's this year. We had a year off. Well... We're doing a lot of work. We had a year off trips, but we're going to do some big old trips this year.
And one of our great people that join us all the time, Joseph Petrick, puts in €2 and Smart Show. Well, thank you very much. We definitely appreciate that.
Definitely try.
And followed right behind that is Jill, who always joins us with $2. Please don't take Tyler Vaught to that Section 31 crap. Well, I'm afraid you're probably out of luck by the looks of it. He's already been recruited, and what better agent to have on board a team like Section 31 than a half Klingon, half Vulcan? Half human. Why did I say Vulcan?
There's got to be an arc for this character in season 2, so I doubt he'll be in the same place, even with Section 31 stuff by the end of the season. Even to the point he might die. We have no idea, depending if they want like an epic conclusion or just like, often in like sometimes. Like, say, Voyager, you had the Dauntless episode, Message in a Bottle. No, the other one. the what's it called? Hope and Fear, and that's very much like a cool ending and ends. And sometimes you have like Equinox, epic two-parter, and so season 1 just kind of ended, and then a simple cliffhanger, but it wasn't like you didn't know where it was going, so the season just it'll end, and a massive cliffhanger. You know what I mean? So depends, because there could be some epic thing at the end, and obviously have a season 3 or not. Anyway, let me swap to this article. Doop and doop. Right. So this was from an article of Trek Movie, the wonderful Trek Movie, and it came out on February 10th. So we're sort of new. This was a panel at the Directors Guild of Canada, and they had a Q&A with I wish I'd been there, because that seemed like a very, very good departmental behind-the-scenes sort of thing. As you can see, lots and lots of people show straight to the... and they reveal lots of sketches. I'm so tempted to ask my modeler friends, like, build me the sets from Discovery, because there's, like, the corridor plan. Because now we have it.
That's not the article I have up, but that's okay.
Ah. Is that not?
That's not the one you sent.
Oh.
Not the one you sent me earlier, no.
Well, then I bookmarked the wrong thing. I'm going to find that again. Stuart, what's
Okay,
the real article?
Well, hold on. John Saunders puts in 5... Well, the real article, if you want to read it, guys, is in the description. I included the link to it in the description, so you can just click that.
I'm just the best, aren't I?
John Saunders puts in $5 and says, "Great content, keep it up." Thank you very much, John. We will attempt to do so.
We really do.
You guys tuning in and watching is definitely something that helps us with that. Spinal Breaker puts in $5 Australian.
Hey.
I'd be interested if Discovery Section 31 Picard animated series did a massive crossover like Avengers or Arrowverse. I'm sure. I have a feeling that if the two shows like Discovery and Section 31 are run in parallel, there will be the odd crossover, but I don't want to see massive crossovers. And with the Picard series, absolutely not, because it's not even in the same time.
Yeah, that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
And then you're definitely saying they're all canon all together, all these little problems, because then if you're the best thing for them to do is Picard is ignore everything Discovery, because it sullies the water on what the tech level is. Can they go beyond Discovery tech for post TNG? If they do, then does that mean if they ever show like Picard flashbacks, they have to update TNG? At that point, they're just redoing the entire franchise, and then what's the point?
Yeah. A lot of people are already concerned about that. The Picard series isn't going to follow what it should.
So Discovery should be its own bubble, but it means you can't have Picard jump back to Tira. Until he should say, "Wow, this is really strange." Yeah.
Well, I can see, because Section 31 is spin-off of Discovery, I can see them coming back occasionally to cross over.
Oh, that yeah.
Or vice versa. That I don't have a problem with, but don't bring in the animated series and stuff. Now, the article you have on screen there is the edges are cropped off. I don't know if you can.
No, I would changed it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm behind because of the delay.
That's it. Likely excuse, sir. Likely excuse.
Right? I know. Jaegerbomb puts in $5.
Ooh.
Star Trek Discovery always double down instead of fixing mistakes.
Yeah.
Every other Star Trek show took criticisms, used them, and tried to do better. That's why TNG is better. That being
That's interesting.
said, I think Star Trek Discovery did some listening, and season 2 has already addressed a few of the issues, and it looks like they're leading into a few more that could be fixed. So I think they are listening, to be honest.
I think they're doing stuff that you could get away with without showing where, the company line is that, oh yeah, we're making Discovery more positive. After the darkness of the war, we went positive. That was always our plan. It's like, no, it wasn't. And now we can be positive and happy. That we couldn't in season 1, so they can't change, the costumes, the uniforms, everything as much, because that's a bigger. Oh, we messed up. The Klingons, obviously, they found a little loophole of, shave their heads. Yep.
Line of dialogue fixes everything.
Yep, that works. And so, I hope it's incremental. But, we'll see. But yeah, so this is the article. So do you want to read where we are?
Sure, I'll just... Oh, from where we are, I don't know.
It's the Section 31 bit of the article. Even though it's my idea, I'll let you read it.
Right. Talking about the Michelle Yeoh thing first, I think so, yeah, why not? It's worth noting that Trek Movies coverage of the Season 2 premiere quoted Kurtzman saying Yeoh would appear in a third season of The Discovery. In a more recent interview with TV Line, Julie McNamara, CBS All Access head of programming, talked about the Section 31 series, also noting how Yeoh is part of Discovery and they had time to consider when to start the Section 31 show. Section 31 has always been of interest to the fans. not really. And she's such a phenomenal character in Discovery, not really, that it only makes sense to explore what a series could be. Michelle is still very much a part of this cast of Discovery, so there is time for this to develop before we can consider it when it might air. The third season for Discovery has yet to get official green light, however. It was described by Variety as fait accompli, effectively a done deal.
Which is what they said for Star Trek 4, so it doesn't mean anything. Just saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the TCA event, Kurtzman did say they already had big ideas for a third season. It also follows that they would have to have some major elements of it to be mapped out if Section 31 show is set to follow, assuming the storyline picks up from where the third season ends.
And the first quote, the one that I really latched onto, was, as soon as Discovery Season 3 is over, we're rolling right into that show. The Section 31 show.
Yeah, doesn't mean that Discovery is going to end after 3 seasons.
Well, it feels like a strong indication, because where is the Discovery show going? You know, the whole point of the show was that the spore drive, that's its thing. The arc was something that was completely scrapped and done something else beyond the season arc. So all you would have is just them in a ship that doesn't spore, a crew we don't really like that much, on a ship.
I like them.
Well, they're okay, at best. Just flying around doing average stuff. There's nothing new there. There's nothing to draw. Whereas the Spore tech was something special. So I can see them, you know, Season 2 ends the Spore drive. Season 3, you know, finish the story of Michael Burnham. They do it on their own terms. And then they move on to the next show. Obviously, they can bring, you know, several characters over. Like with DS9, they brought O'Brien and Worf over to DS9. So the Section 31 show, you can bring, you know, maybe Saru as a regular guest and, you know, Tyler Vaughn and obviously Michelle Yeoh. So they can bring people over to continue in that form and keep that part of the universe going. But I don't see Discovery being a 7-season. Like, I really don't care with them as a crew. I would rather see other shows, and they certainly cannot afford 5 shows at the same time. And that they've mentioned in multiple articles that these are not meant to be concurrent shows. Not all 5 of them. These are like shows that stop and start and swap, and there's not going to be 5 shows at one time. The animated is also in production, but there aren't 2 animated at the same time. It's
been said they want Star Trek on the air every week of the year, which is going to be a pain in the ass for us. I guess no rest for the wicked, but
again they say that, but also want a Star Trek 4. I mean, if the money isn't there, they can't do that. Yeah. That's an incredible budget, is to have 50 episodes of Trek a year. Mm-hmm. Which is at least 3 shows, because there aren't 22 episode seasons anymore.
When I read the article, I didn't get the feeling that it was ending after season 3. I think they can do a lot with it, especially as Joseph just said. He just put another super chat. Jumping into a different galaxy or future would help. We do know that Discovery ends up 1,000 years in the future, so we don't know what that entails. I mean, at the end of season 3, let's say it does get sucked into some anomaly and ends up 1,000 years in the future. Does its thing for a couple more seasons, and then the crew just is off the ship, goes back to their own time, but they can't take the ship. But the ship's still there. Then the events of Calypso can take place. There's a lot they can still do.
But what that's really saying is that the Discovery story isn't strong enough. We have to do, like, we're desperate to keep this show going. We'll just completely change the formula in the 3rd season. You know, it's not like TNG, which was the exploration. DS9, each of those, like, they had a formula there from the start. They've already swapped the formula twice now in Discovery. If they did that as well, yes, they could do something new, but it's like, again, it's a pretty poor... Okay, it might get better. Like, I'd rather see a Pike spin-off that's 10 episodes than a Discovery season 5 or 6. Yeah. It has to do something really radical, but... and also, the more seasons the closer it gets to TOS, and the less okay it's going to be to accept. And
unless they start stepping in line with visual continuity.
But again, I don't want to
that's another discussion altogether.
You know what I mean? Like, I think 3 seasons is such a nice little arc, because you don't need to, you can end on your own terms. You know, season 1 is Klingon War, Mirror Universe. Season 2 is Red Angels. Season 3 is, you know, the Battle of the 5 Armies. I don't know. Battle of the 5 Races.
You know, 3 seasons, wrap it up in a nice little bow because it didn't do what they wanted it to. I buy that. I could be on board with that, but it's still there's nothing concrete either way here. Some people are even speculating it's not going to get a third season. I think it will personally. But so if they do get a third season and it's still low numbers or whatever, they wrap it up. That's fine. It's one cohesive piece, and then move on to something else. That's fine. But I would be fine seeing this go 7 seasons if they can find a way to make it interesting, and I'm sure they can because it is Star Trek, so it's easy to do.
Yeah, it would just need a facelift every year. Like if they're the same level of increase every year upon year, then I could see that. But again, it will get further and further away from the original Bible, the original point of the show, and at that point you're just like Frankensteining it because we might as well. I mean, it's not a show that's earning that much money. You can't sell merchandise that much. You know what I mean? It's like stop it in your own terms. Yeah. Section 31. You know, you've got the advice from the fans. You've built the sets based on because that's a great thing. If this is the ship of the new show, you've built the set as part of the season 2 Discovery budget. So making the pilot for Section 31 is really cheap. You've already got the costumes and the props, and like it's a really cheap pilot if they can do it, or even like a movie, I think do we talk about this, the 2-hour miniseries movie idea?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I mean that's brilliant. That'd be such a good way of doing it, and like you sell that to different places, like first all access, and then you farm it out to other companies if they want to buy it, 2 or 3 weeks later, because you don't need Netflix to buy it if it's already pretty much funded based on clever marketing, clever funding. And then if it's picked up, then you can, do cool things.
We got another super chat from Jaegerbomb. $10. Thank you very much.
Wow, 10. Thank you.
Section 31 is recycling the plot of Into Darkness with Khan, a deposed dictator becoming a spy for the Federation. Why would they want to make Space Hitler the spy? Everyone forgetting her crimes. Well, I have said the same thing. Only a few people really know who she is, but Section 31 definitely does. And to put her in that position, I've said this, I think, on one of the last lives we did, is just stupid. She's going to learn all this inside information, have all this covert technology and knowledge, and be able. She's smart enough. She already became Empress in a universe. She's smart enough to turn that around on them and eventually screw them. So I don't know why they would do that. Personally, I thought it was a stupid move when they handed her the black badge. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So I agree with you 100%, Jaegerbomb. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the character. So, but the fact that everybody else thinks it's the great Captain Georgiou, except for like a handful of people that know the truth. She was going to kill those handful of people so that no one knows the truth. Then she's going to take over. That's what I would do if I was her.
There you go. I love Jaegerbombs, by the way. Good drink.
We also have another super chat from, let's see here.
From Bishop.
Frank Black.
Oh, I think that's his. I think that's actually his Predator character. No, Terminator 1 character. Poor man.
But he puts in $10 with no comment. Thank you very much.
$10, amazing.
John Harrison puts in £5.
Thank you.
It's going to feel a bit full on if we have shows on every week. Also, do you think the virus from Enterprise caused new Klingon throat marble voices? No, I don't think that. But I agree. Too much of a good thing sometimes is too much. And having Trek on all year sounds like a good idea, but only if it's good. And even then, I think it might be oversaturation. So
I'll let you do this next super chat, and I'll pitch to you how it would have been good every week of the year, like in the golden day. If you want to read this one, I'll.
Sure. Roberto Suarez puts in $5.
Thank you.
Do it like Escape from New York. If she's out of line, injected nanotech kills her. Yeah, absolutely. Have a little explosive device in her neck. Just
Suicide Squad. Works for them.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just.
I'll get the last super chat, then you go. Yep. Fat Produce puts in $2. Discovery is finally giving me hope with season 2, and I agree. I mean, it's much better than season 1, and I'm looking forward to see what they do.
And
so
we're not even in the meat yet. We're not. No. We're really like I like the pace currently. It's good. So imagine, right, if world was different, if TNG was on, say, from it was season 4, then DS9 started, but it was done to be after DS9. So the first chunk of the year is TNG, then second half is DS9. But because they can cleverly film it, you have crossovers all year round, and so characters continuously like swap through. So Enterprise D just happens to turn up in episode 9 of DS9, and then Voyager starts for the third part of the year. But from episode 1, they can still communicate with home. They can send like holograms back and forth to try and get them home. So you see like Data hologramming to Voyager in the third part of the year, and tech that Voyager finds in the third part of the year helps the TNG crew in the next half of the next year. And so suddenly you'd have, what that'd be, I guess 60 weeks of stories, but an evolving narrative through 3 different crews, but continuously combining as needs demand. And then you can have, like a year arc, but it's through 60 episodes of planned. How would that sound?
That would sound great, but that would have worked in the old Golden.
But is that oversaturated though? The way that could be?
No, I agree.
Okay.
And that would have worked with Deep Space Nine and Voyager. However, with the new shows, like the different tones of them, like Lower Decks kind of being an animated comedy, and Section 31 being the covert thing, and if they keep with Discovery, they're going to have to go more optimistic because that's what people want and expect out of it. It's just not going to work. But yeah, that's a great idea for running congruent stories,
and all different but all the same. I got so excited like seeing Picard jump in, because they're all on contracts all year round, and because they're filming the next season midway through Voyager's release, they can but I can imagine though the 3 shows, if it is these 3 and include Discovery, right, then you've got start the year with Discovery because it's been a January show, then you do Section 31, so Discovery takes a more and more optimistic light, brilliant, more like Trek. Middle of the year is the more evil, darker, grittier Section 31. Then you end the year with a really positive Lower Decks, and then you lessen it more with Discovery, the middle tone, and then you have a, it brings you back up after Section 31, the nice comedy fun show. So I could kind of see it being refreshing, because I definitely wouldn't want to watch 52 episodes of Discovery a year, especially season 1 or of Section 31. That's why I said I'd rather have like a 6-episode mini-series of Pike, and 6-episode mini-series of Section 31, and 6-episode, give us a story rather than a forced season. You know what I mean? Like, control the narrative rather than forcing it to do more and more and more and more and more and such.
Yeah, well, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think they can make Discovery something new and continue on past season 3. I really do, especially with I do like Stamets. I like Tilly. I like Saru. Some of the other characters like the Helmswoman, and they're starting to kind of grow on me a little bit. Burnham, but she might get killed off at some point. That's why she's never spoken of later. I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities there, so I don't mind if it goes more than 3 seasons. But I also do agree with you with your suggestion that a 3 series or 3 season kind of wrap up might work. So it's all just one cohesive piece. But Fat Produce puts in $2. Section 31 show or more of Bortus's mustache. Well, I could do without Bortus's mustache, to be honest. But we'll talk about that when we do our Orville reviews and kind of a overview of the season. But has season 3 been approved or not? Hasn't been renewed yet, no. But
it's like we said with season 2 got approved because CBS didn't pay for season 1, so they had money coming in, and they were like, obviously we're going to do season 2. But if I was them, with the mixed results of season 1, let's see if the actual story is enjoyed or not, because we're not at the meat yet. We haven't seen Spock. The whole gimmick of the season is Spock. If people hate Spock for reason, then you know what I mean. I would be inclined to wait until like episode 10 to renew it. I mean the what do you mean? The sets are still standing. It's not as if they're going to burn that much cash by just having it all stand. They own the facilities. Wait until we really see the season kick off, because we're still in the build-up. I'm kind of surprised it went straight from the last episode to the Spore universe bit. Like, I think we're trying to burn through plot lines is what they're doing. They've reordered it a bit to burn through some stuff to get to the second half. I mean, we know they showrunners this next episode is the last one of the original second showrunners. Or the reshoot's probably made it more funny, so we're interested to see if that ends like the Spore arc, and then the next part is a Spock arc, which is probably because I could see them absolutely. Or to be fair, what if they hadn't even had Spock as part of season 2, and then as soon as Alex Kurtzman came in, because you could probably see them actually adding in all the Spock scenes, because they're not crucial to any episode. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to reshoot that much. Just add little scenes here and there about Spock. What do you think?
I don't know what to say about that. I don't know if that quite works.
But do you know what I mean? Like, he's not...
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Because if he's not in the first 5, and then he's suddenly going to be in, well, this is the new direction after the first 5. It swapped direction again. And now it's going to be all about Spock. They're trying to get over the Spock. Like, it's been so... Like, the Tilly stuff is such a weird pace. Like, it's not an organic pace. I'm interested where it's going, but... You know what I mean?
Well, what interests me is the fact that they've introduced Pike. Pike is a much beloved character. Everybody's saying good things about Pike. His, Anson Mount's portrayal of Pike is awesome. We got Spock coming in. We know they've built an Enterprise bridge. We've got a #1 cast. So if this, I can see them doing a small 6-part,
They should.
Captain Pike series. That would be awesome. And then have it end like a few years later, but have him get pulled into a Section 31 mission.
Oh yes.
That ends with him being crippled, and then it gets covered up saying it was helping the cadets or whatever. And the reason that Spock puts his neck on the line to help Pike is because Spock has never agreed with Section 31 and their philosophy. There's probably going to be a lot of butting heads as far as that goes. He's obviously a officer who wouldn't say anything if he was ordered not to, kind of like Data. Yeah. So the reason he helps Pike is because he knows that Pike got embroiled with Section 31, got sucked into a mission that really Spock didn't agree with and shouldn't have been done. And so he's going to help out his former captain by putting his neck on the line to get him to Talos, to have him have the life that he, a life that is worth living. That would be cool to tie that in, have a Pike miniseries tied in with the Section 31 show, and then... But then you're retconning the whole Pike accident, which it would work with the Section 31 covert operation, with what happened to him, and just covered up saying it was a cadet training cruise. He was saving cadets, which could have been part of the mission. The cadet ship got in the way of the mission, and he actually beamed aboard to save the cadets because Section 31 was doing some shady shit. And I don't know. There's a real interesting places for them to go with that narrative, and it also would continue the whole Spock arc, because for a fact if Spock was ordered not to say something, that he wouldn't, and he would go out on a limb to help his captain that he was served with for 10 years, 2 5-year missions. So maybe there's a potential for a Pike spin-off series. So
yeah, I mean, if they, when you build sets for other shows, a bridge is sometimes 50k, 80k, 100k. Yeah. So if you've already built the bridge, knowing, well, let's cheekily make a 6-episode miniseries mostly on the bridge, and we'll redress Discovery corridors, and that's awful, but whatever. I mean, they could redress every set to be more, Cage Enterprise. And that, like I said, that could be the setup for Discovery, for the Section 31 show, because that would kind of be fun in terms of like marketing, because then you could sell that as a separate entity of a show, and you've already got everything ready. Although we did just see that Ethan Peck and Anson Mount have finished their contract, so I don't think that's likely since they're now not on the CBS contract. But would have been cool, or even do short Trek season 2, and it's just 15-minute
short treks of the Enterprise, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's just the lead-in. Because you're right, I think as a retcon it's smart, because the original... I mean, Pike is such a weird character. He got so little time or character that most people like him more because of the JJ films. Like, he had real character in that. Everyone liked him from that. And now this, we like him even more, especially with his reshoots. I think make him more generally likable, genuinely and generally likable. But as a retcon, that's great, and it's smart. I think I can see other writers doing it. I mean, you're changing a icon of a character. You couldn't do that. You shouldn't do that to Kirk. Say, the reason Kirk got command is because Section 31 wanted him command. It's like, no, don't do that. But Pike's accident is such a small footnote in the grander scheme. After Menagerie, he's never mentioned again in any form. So that's a fine thing to redo, and like I say, as a lead in Section 1, fun. And then have him be in that for a bit. Maybe his clone was the one in the chair for a couple of years, and he's actually off wandering around, and then he gets messed up by the end, and actually is in the chair.
Yeah. Fat Produce puts in $2 and says, "Imagine Stamets with a blonde Bortus mustache." That's a scary image.
I like that episode. That was a good episode. Overall.
It was. John Harrison puts in £5. Why is Burnham always on the bridge? She's a goddamn zoologist. Go do zoo things. She's annoying. She's not a zoologist. She's whatever she is.
Xenobiologist.
Xenobiologist, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Well, they made a like, at least if it was just a generic science character, then it could be on the bridge all times. I mean, people have argued to me personally that she was top of her Vulcan Science Academy training, therefore that's already very talented. Better than all the Vulcans in her class. And first of all, I'm like, ugh. But that means she's very talented. Then she also had 7 years aboard a, rising to the ranks of a Federation ship, so she's clearly very talented. And it's like, yeah, sure. It doesn't feel like she's earned that, and definitely not in the, right career path to be on the bridge all the time. I mean, that's why when the tardigrade, that made sense. That made in rewatching that made more sense because you knew what a character was meant to be. And with the Gormagander, again, that made sense. But for her to be everywhere doing everything, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and they didn't even they didn't address that really with season 2 yet, because even in this what was it, the third episode, first episode of season 2, where she was the test pilot for these landing craft. Like she's also a test pilot now. Like, where'd that come from? You should have made somebody else the test pilot, because that's just adding on more of skills onto her. Like,
and I even forgot that it was such a pointless who cares line. A character is defined by their weaknesses.
Generally,
anyone you can say is strong, anyone you can say is amazing, anyone you can say is smart, but that's not interesting. I like the Rey character a lot, but the fact that she can just use everything everywhere with no issue. I mean, during the film you don't care because it's fun, but as soon as you start thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, she's a very flat character. Whereas look how long it took Luke even to do okay with the lightsaber, and you bought it. Characters are slightly better written back in the day, unfortunately, when more money was on stake, more money was at stake to actually fight the box office. And
Joseph Petrick puts in €2 and says, "What is a xenobiologist?" Kidding.
Well,
I'd like to be a xenobiologist. He says, "Here's my 1.4 euros because of the 30% off."
Thanks, man. I know it's short for xenomorph biologist.
Michael Smith puts in $5.
Thank you.
They need to do at least season 3 of Discovery because it will be the first season fully produced and fleshed out by the current production staff. Yeah, no kidding, eh? Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's fired, but if it changes hands again for the third season, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. Well, they need to make up for. I would love for them to go past season 3, obviously, because Enterprise got axed way too early at season 4. I don't really want to. They need to make up for that, and if they can continue good storytelling and actually start improving the series like they have been so far with season 2, I have no issue with them going longer. Is the point that I'm making. Anyway.
It's all about writing the stories. The characters are still weak, and the crutch of Pike is what's bringing it up. You know what I mean? So once he's gone, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Like I said, they've just started the story. They have.
Yeah, you were frozen on my screen as you were talking, and then I saw the stream, and I was like,
yeah, you never stopped on mine, but it did stop, so I refreshed. But okay, there we go. Huh.
Stream is continuing. There we are. We're back, guys. I don't know. The stream died while he was talking. I apologize.
Refresh. We didn't do anything. I promise.
Yeah, refresh your stream, guys. We wouldn't just end a stream like that. We always say our goodbyes and stuff. So if that happens, just stay tuned and refresh, and it should reconnect. What were you saying?
Oh yeah, I think we both agree that we like the slower pace and learning about the characters, because without the characters, the show is nothing. Otherwise, who cares who they are? They should be nameless. I would happily see an episode that's just about the Helms lady, Detmer, doing something.
Mm.
The whole point that one of the original pitches for the show was, it's not about the captain, it's about the other people. It's like, well, no, it wasn't. It was about Michael Burnham, who didn't like doing stuff and being amazing. It was completely the wrong. Like, it was technically what it meant, but it was a very, very poor version of that. It was not remotely like Lower Decks, and we did videos on this the whole time. Now they could make it like that, and each season they should do more.
Funny
of
you
that.
just mentioned that thing about Burnham, because we have another super chat from Christian Densler, puts in 5 francs. They really need to get rid of Burnham. Such an unlikable character. Overall, I agree. However, the last few episodes, there's been little nuggets of things that have kind of started to make her more likable. They just need to focus on that a little bit more and kind of flesh that out, because I've said all along, I don't like her character. Most people don't.
Yeah,
and
most don't. I have very few supporters, as far I can tell.
Yeah, she was raised on Vulcan. Yeah, she's supposed to try to be emotionless, but it doesn't come off well. She's a good actress. I just don't know if it's the direction that she's given, because it's just very wooden. A lot of people say she has 2 faces. I don't know. I'm just not liking her.
It's just very unfortunate for her. Like, I've met her in person. She's amazingly smiley, and you feel the energy radiating off her. It's like, oh wow, brilliant. None of that is on screen. Nothing. Which means she's very good at acting. In fact, I watched the red carpet event of season 2, and she said, and the interviewer said, "So is there any of you and Michael Burnham?" She's like, "Oh no, not at all. She's completely different to me. So it's really fun to be able to go on set and act not at all like myself. Use the lines and just not be me for a bit. I can't put anything in that character beyond my face. It's completely different." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Normally you pull pieces of yourself, but nope." She laughs. Burnham doesn't. I think they just picked the wrong person to lead in terms of character, not actress. She's fine, but she's fine. If she was given, if she was playing Janeway with the same lines, she could do a fine Janeway. You know what I mean? It's the lines and the character. It's not the actress. Or if she was Michelle Yeoh's character, she could probably do a little bit better. She could probably play an evil, Mirror Universe dictator even better than Michelle Yeoh. Some evil faces if she's let to breathe. So yeah. Give her own command, have her off the ship, and sure. Yeah, or just make her one of the ensemble. I think that's the key of season 2, is where it's improving. She's not the focus. She's one of the team. That's the most important thing. She's not strong enough to be the lead. She's not strong enough to be the focus. She never was. She never will be. But one of a team, yes, that works fine. As all Trek has been.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the selling points of season 1 before it came out, that the show's not going to focus on the captain. It's going to focus on the first officer. It's like, wow. Okay, fine. Focus maybe a little bit, but don't, zoom in and get locked on to just her. It needs to be an ensemble piece, because Star Trek always has been. Even TOS, you don't see a lot of Scotty or Scotty more so than Sulu or whatever. But they get their little nuggets of time. You have the trifecta, but this one just focuses on Burnham, and that she's an expert at everything, and just the way she deals with everyone on the crew. And it's not an ensemble piece, and that needs to change. Gmon78 puts in 5 pounds. Man. Burnham is played too overly earnest in every damn scene. It just feels forced. Earnest is a good word. Yeah. I don't know. Yes, great point, Samuel. Notice that all the random groups, now it's focusing on Captain Tilly.
But I think that is very much because she's plot important. That I obviously complained from episode 1 season 2 it's too focused, but because she's the center point of the Spore conclusion storyline, so we had to focus on her to do the steps. So I'm fine with it now, as long as it's got a good payoff. ironically, we've pulled away from the Red Angel storyline. That's been a super minimal
Yeah.
thread, you know, and it's definitely far better. You know, you know, how early were we saying Mirror Universe? How early were we saying this, and this for season 1? And this many episodes in, we're still guessing, and it's nice to be, where's it going? Let's enjoy the ride. And I always find it funny when I watch other reviewers, and sometimes also I try to analyse a bit more, when they pull apart one line and say, this, and this is where it's going. And I'm thinking, well, they wrote that on purpose to make, you know, that's the hook line that you're meant to see and talk about for 10 minutes. Because that's what they want you to talk about. Just like the Canon throwing them in for people, you know. It's a Tribble. Focus on Tribble for 10 minutes. But I'm intrigued to see where the hints are for the end of the season, in the early season. Because I don't think it's the same season. It's not formatted the same way. I don't know what would be hints. You know what I mean? It's not really built that same way, I don't feel like. It's more normal a show. Or they changed the arc so that they couldn't build it in.
Possibly.
Especially if Kurtzman knows that Section 31 is where he wants to go, then he, you know, taking the reins. I mean, he within like a month of him taking the reins, he'd announced 3 shows. Like that was it. It was really quick. So maybe he said, "Shit, I don't like. We're gonna swap the last 3 episodes. We haven't filmed them yet. We're gonna swap some scripts. We're gonna lead in Section 31 show. So we're gonna change the final direction." It's kind of feel like that because it does make sense if you're gonna do a separate spin-off, you know, lead up to it. And honestly, I could even see that they've filmed this Michelle Yeoh stuff to add after the fact. Some of it, like extra little bits.
Yeah. I don't know about the Section 31 show though with Yeoh. Apparently early on, Michelle Yeoh, you know, came to them and said it'd be cool to have a spin-off show with this character. Knowing that her character dies in like episode 2, it's like, okay, so what are you proposing then? Essentially, what?
But she knew
a prequel.
She knew she was going to come back. That was in her contract. So, like same with Lorca, he knew he was a Mirror Universe plot. She knew she was the Empress as well. You know, they still knew like that little bit of the end. Even
from what I've read early on, before they really knew what was happening, she came to this idea.
Oh, even before she read the end.
Yes, and then when they found out a way to bring her back, she was hoping for Captain Georgiou, but when they found a way to bring her character back as the Empress, apparently then it became viable to start talking about the Section 31 show, and it's just like, I just don't like her character, and I'm not a fan of the actress personally, so I'm not looking forward to it.
It depends how they do it. I mean,
everything depends on how they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can dislike an actor and totally get into their role. I mean, if it's done properly, it's just, will they do that?
I'm just
so, I don't have much faith.
I'm just so conscious that we did pitch a Section 31 show as a possible movie. Like for Star Trek 4, we said make it Section 31 based movie. We did pitch a Section 31 show. Like we had, that was a good idea. I don't think we ever said like a full 22 episode or 10 episodes. I think we always said, you know, short season was always the best form. Because how do you make the most secret organization a 20 episode or 10 episode arc? It's a lot of episodes, a lot of hours. You know, 6, 4, 3. It's a story. You know, it's just a story. Yeah. And it's way more doable and way more interesting because then you can, you know, pay off and set up and.
Yeah. Well, Gmon78 puts in £2 and says, "Do you prefer Captain Georgiou or Empress?" I can't stand either one, but I think she does a better job as the Empress, as kind of an evil side to her. I think she's better as the Empress than the Captain. So that's my opinion.
It's funny, neither have much range in the character. Not the actress, but the character. The original Georgiou was she was just what, you know, she was a little bit charming, but not really. She was
one of the greatest captains in Starfleet, according to the computer.
She was plain. She was just a generic captain with very little anything. That wasn't her fault. She died and, you know, she only got like 27 minutes of screen time. What, you know what I mean? I'm exaggerating. Yeah. And then Empress Georgiou, she was written to be the evil emperor of a galactic empire that we had to believe was the worst person ever. So her although when we were watching the season, she did play soft with Burnham, so there was a slight dimensionality, but that was very much just more the original Georgiou character. And so all she had was, I'm evil or I'm slightly less evil. There wasn't much depth there either. And now she's just playing the, I'm always, undercover sleuth. Ugh. Like, it's just the same sort of thing. You know what I mean? I'm better than you. I know more than you. I'm more cool than you. Haha. There isn't. I haven't seen any sort of depth there or range. At least Burnham now, like with the last episode, she had a certain. I mean, she did better in the last episode. The amount of range she was showing and it wasn't necessarily believable, but it's Empress certainly because there's more. She was given more, but it's so one tone, one note,
and it makes her less likable. I mean, as I said, I already don't like the either character or the actress, but to have her be this evil
much character.
I know, but to have her be this evil, I always know more than you, I'm better than you because I'm here from this alternate universe and you don't know it. That kind of attitude just throws me. I'm not happy about it. Let's put it that way.
It needs to be a. That's the problem though, because you need to introduce really interesting characters for a Section 31 show anyway. Like they've got to be really cool characters, but I would never call her the lead of that show. Like, it's fine if it was a 4-man, 4-person ensemble team. Like, it was a Section 31 strike team show, and they had, like, basically Suicide Squad. Just, like, 4 missions, and each mission took several episodes, and she was brought in for certain skills, and she was, one of the leaders of this, like, it's implying currently that she's one of the leaders of this sect, this, division. But she's not the leader. I think she's would be absolutely awful as leader because it completely defies believability. She's an alternate reality Hitler.
Yeah.
The only reason that Khan, in a very similar tone, the medieval Hitler, the only reason they thought that plan through, even though it makes no sense, is that he's so behind the times, we can control him. We're better, we're newer. Guess what? Georgiou is more ahead of the time. She's got more technology because of the Defiant, more expertise because she ruled an empire, more strategy because she took over an empire. If she wasn't given an empire, she took an empire. That's what they do.
Yeah.
How many people did she kill? How long has she been emperor? How many revolts has she destroyed? I mean, she's way more deadly than Khan, just by the nature of what she has done. Although Khan is smarter, but Khan has less knowledge of things. Although, do you think she knows how to use the stuff? Like, could she design a new ship? Or is she very much just... Like, Hoshi, you don't get a sense she's very skilled at anything except power play.
I don't think she would necessarily have... That being said, she did take command of she did become the Empress, so she'd have to have some kind of abilities like that to be able to think on the fly. And
did Hoshi have any real abilities?
No.
So
not that I know of.
She just maneuvered herself to kill people. So why? Who said Georgiou didn't do the same? And I think it's silly to say the Mirror and Prime counterparts should be so similar because with a radically different upbringing, different education set, just because Captain Georgiou was a good scientist and knew stuff, none of that knowledge would transfer over to Mirror Georgiou. They're different people. They know different things, they're different experiences. So you can't, because one's a scientist doesn't mean there's anything similar. Even though too many parallels happen, but it makes stories easier. Any more super chat questions?
Commodore Jose Mendez says Hoshi is unskilled. Are you guys high? Language was her specialty. We're talking about the Mirror Universe Hoshi. We don't know that language was her speciality.
Well, no, it was.
It's a Mirror Universe.
It was. She was doing stuff with stuff. But, I mean, yes, skilled in galactic domination. Sorry, but languages isn't necessarily the skill, Everyone's skilled to be on that ship, obviously, but, it's like saying the chef in Enterprise, if he became the Emperor, well, he was skilled, yes, as a chef. It's not the same skill set. Not the same skill set.
Yes. And what did you ask me before I read that comment?
Any more super chat questions?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. So.
And that's the problem with the season 3. It's like, where is season 2 going?
Season 2 is all about Red Angels and Spock. So we got 2 things they need to wrap up.
I don't know where it's going.
Where no man has gone before.
Where? Yeah.
Or I guess no woman has gone before because Burnham's going, but
Oh, I
or no
don't know.
one has gone before. There you go. Um, there's a conversation going on in the chat, I guess, but sorry, I don't buy it. The Defiant's a powerful ship, but it couldn't stand a continuous attack from a Terran armada.
Yes, it could.
I knew you'd jump on that when I read it.
I know. I saw.
We just had this conversation like what, yesterday or the day before?
Yep. I mean, it's not.
That sounds like another live in and of itself.
Yeah, well, versus the other things alive. I mean, I read part of the book. Although I guess to be fair, she didn't. I think she got them to surrender. I mean, just shields make a massive difference. If 10 ships are firing phasers, and your shields can cope with 10, and you've shot and destroyed each ship in one hit. I mean, the Defiant took out an X in 3 blasts. That's it. And a few torpedoes. You could easily take out an entire fleet in a couple of runs. And every ship you remove from the battle becomes less and less. And to be fair, they didn't. If you wanted to be really snazzy and like really tactical, I kind of wish that mirror had been like 6 episodes or 4 episodes. That would have been even better, I think. Especially they could have built like the entire TOS set again, because might as well. They built most of it, or a lot of it.
And make it look good.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Actually, how cool would that have been? Actually, if the first 2 had been capturing the Defiant, and then 6 months later they're refitting like the Defiant to be more like how they would refit it.
Like bending the struts and putting mega phasers in there and cutting out sections of the hull,
exactly,
the saucer, and
exactly. And then the 2 parts after that, you see the Rebels have made, because the plans leaked, they made their own NX version of the Defiant with NX tech. So you see a TOS one that's been coupled, that's been enhanced with NX. Like we now understand how better stuff works. Let's throw stuff on. And then an NX designed, NX era built TOS era looking. Like that, and then you have a fight between NX TOS versus NX enhanced.
That'd be kind of cool.
TOS. Yeah, and then you build all the sets, and because you redress them as you go.
See, and we were just talking about that though with the Section 31 show. People have been asking what it's going to do, basically, where it's going to go. Now, if it's focusing on Georgiou, it could be her attempting to get back to the mirror universe. Yeah. And maybe taking some of the Section 31 guys with her inadvertently, because I really enjoyed the mirror universe aspect of season 1 of Discovery. It was probably the best part of Discovery.
Oh yeah.
And I can't see her wanting to stay in our universe. There's too much to overcome as if she wants to take control again. But if she were to miraculously show back up in the mirror universe, and everybody thought she was dead, and all of a sudden, hey, I'm back. And I've got this advanced tech from another universe. I could see her using Section 31 in her position there to self back to the mirror universe. And that would be an interesting take for the Section 31 show, to kind of delve into that a little bit and maybe end up getting rid of her in the mirror universe, killing her or something, or leaving her there again.
Like closing a story arc by having her get back.
Yeah.
That's actually, I love that actually, because you've got the sense that they had more. I mean, come on, you've seen the Shah one. It's massive.
Yeah.
They have more advanced technology, but that said, they haven't got Section 31, and so, we assume so, and so maybe they, she comes in, knows about this, and this technology. Let Section 31 have it. They iterate on it based on their more because you can imagine the scientists in the Terran Empire. It's all about guns and shields. You throw scientists that understand everything else in the mix. I mean, I'm generalizing, but you know what I mean. A more well-rounded approach, you can turn that tech and give it a year, integrate it, and make it even better. And so, maybe she says to after like 3 episodes of a mission, she convinces her section commander to say, "I've got a plan. There's some technology in the mirror universe that we can use to do this mission."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, there's a way of getting there." And she's like, "What?" And actually takes the ship too. Because we know they can do that with the runabout, so it's not unprecedented, but they don't get back, and so they travel over to the mirror universe. They've already got all the costumes already, so there's no not as much of a costume build, and then then she double crosses them, but she keeps on side right until the end, and then maybe she's now like a lover with one of the guys because that would make it kind of complicated, You know, we know she kind of has a genuine emotional ties to things that stops her from killing people, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
She's not as heartless as she could be. And then, yeah, the second half is Mirror Universe, but now it's Mirror Universe post her leaving, and maybe the Rebels have taken over. Maybe now it's like the Federation that we've always wanted to see. And then she brings them back, and she unlocks the secrets of this, this, and this. And then we breed the Defiant Enterprise classes again as a symbol of her power. And that's why in TOS, only a few years later, in Mirror Mirror, we see the Connie, because she rebuilds a fleet of Connies as a show of power, because that's how they took over the Empire in the first place. There we go. Circle complete. And then the last shot is a CGI William Shatner walk on, and she says, "Your new ship, the Enterprise. Ha 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 ha." And he's like, well, nothing.
I gave it older cage style tech, even though I don't know what that is. Just based on the records from this, I didn't want it to be as advanced as the ship we got.
I like the
Defiant.
aesthetic. Shut up, I'm the admiral.
The spikes on the nacelles are for the heads of your enemies.
Oh, they're phaser cannon. They're mega phasers.
I wouldn't be
You
surprised.
don't need basards in the universe. You just need guns. Guns, Stuart. What do you think? I mean, wouldn't that be like if Canon was, you know, proper Canon was in charge? Well, what a wonderful way of like bringing it all back around.
Yeah.
And then you get the ironically make Section 31 look like good guys by the end of it, which they are in sort of. They mean well, even if everything they do is wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it's the ends justify the means, isn't it? It's a tricky thing to
Yeah,
argue
it
or
is.
not argue. What do you guys think of my?
Well,
You know,
Troy Macy put.
someone should. Sorry, last thing. Someone should do like a supercut of all my different pictures, different shows over the years.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to address. Troy Macy's $2.99 super chat. He says, "Sam, you should write for Discovery."
Ah, thanks,
There you
man.
go.
Would love to.
Joseph Petrick puts in €2. Kurtzman
Aw.
co-wrote Alias. He knows how to spy.
Yeah, but Alias was only good in the first season, I hear, and then it got worse and worse and worse and worse. So don't necessarily give much credit there. Oh,
Yeah.
90 Lancaster. Yeah, let Sam write it, then it will die all the quicker. Oh, that's mean. Pretty sure
Oh,
I
well.
can write scripts better than you, though. So,
Sean Pullen puts in $2 Canadian. Can CBS bankroll 2 shows with Discovery production cost?
Oh, no.
Well,
Not that
Most of the sets are done for Section 30. Well, at least the bridge of their Section 31 ship is done, plus their uniforms,
And the
plus
exterior.
yeah. So a lot of the budget's already been taken care of. They just need to use those assets and go from there. So
Yeah, I mean, it's really smart if you want to make a backdoor pilot, and then if they do like, cancel, no, don't renew. Because that's the thing. If they say we want to do a Section 31 show instead of Discovery, then you've got all these other sets of multiple Federation starships, and you can redress them as you need. And so you have one episode there meeting up with a ship, and it's redressed Clark class, you know, because they've got the standing sets, so just kit bash them, and then next episode they've got a damaged version of a ship, and it's the, you know, Diplanahath class. So you've got, you know, all these useful sets that are useful, but you've got Section 31 stuff built already.
yeah, exactly. So I don't think the only issue I was concerned about with Section 31 is Michelle Yeoh's contract, how much they have to pay her, because she's a bigger name actress. She's kind of like Lorca as far as that goes. So that's a big chunk of that budget right there. So yeah, but it's in her contract. If she's already signed it, you know, they know what they're in for. So
It's tricky that the Section 31 could be the best Trek show or the worst Trek show. There's a very fine line, because it could be more about intrigue and spying. You know, about, you know, the fact that these guys, like we saw with Blarathon and Bashir, that was a really good episode. It was really interesting seeing Bashir go into in the universe. You know, one day Michelle Yeoh has got the credentials of a Vulcan ambassador. She's given prosthetic ears because they can just do that, and she goes to Vulcan, and we see the Vulcan High Command, and she gets to speak to them. The next episode, she's on Romulus. You know, all this potential for universe building because they're that connected, they're that fleshed out in terms of the abilities. Like, that would be cool if you take away the dark, evil stuff. But that's why, like, if not Saru, but not even Burnham, like, that's why Pike would be a better Section 31 character, because just like Bashir, he would fight the ends justify the means, but at the end of the day, sometimes it might be justified. You don't know. Whereas Michelle is just an evil Hitler. It's like, ugh. Because Pike, I think, much more interesting. as a concept.
Yeah. I just saw a good comment there a second ago.
Oh, what comment?
The Life Dyslexic says they'll save a lot of money on the Section 31 show by turning off half the lights.
But there won't be any more lights if they do that.
Wow. Sean Poland puts in $2 Canadian and says Discovery is $8 million per episode.
Oof.
We got Discovery, Section 31, and Picard. That's a lot. That's a good point.
You know, I've said this before, and I could definitely quantify it if anyone really gets me to it, but it does not feel like an $8 million a week show. It feels the budget is so poorly spent wherever it's going. Game of Thrones feels like that last few episodes of last season with the epic scope and costumes, that felt like a 10 million an episode, and this is more expensive than that. It doesn't feel they're not spending the right places. They're really not. It feels good, but it should feel good. It's using modern stuff. And you know, it's funny that the Kronos set, Lorel's quarters, it was so dark you don't see the details. It might have been a lavishly designed set with every wall ingrained, you know, hand carved markings. Didn't see any of them. Doesn't make any difference. Whereas you go to the Bird of Prey on, you know, TNG and Generations, and a set built years ago with limited detailing looks bloody amazing, just lit better. And they reuse it for 15 years, and they save budget for every shot. You know what I mean? There's clever ways of spending budget, like with Intermirror Darkly. That corridor shot where Phlox is walking down the corridor, that set feels $1 million compared to a TOS static shot. You know, lighting. Just doesn't feel appropriate. Yeah. It's weird. Where is the money going? Where is the money going? I don't get it.
Into Alex Kurtzman's pocket.
I just. Don't get it.
John Harrison puts in £2 and says, just ships and lots of boom boom for Section 31. You know, that kind of goes against the grain of what the Section 31 show would really be about, because if they're covert, that means they get taken in covertly, dropped off, do their little mission, don't get noticed, and they're done. So ships and a lot of ship action I don't think will be much of a thing.
Unless you could argue how, you know, killing all witnesses. So then every mission, it just shoots and kills everyone in the mission that they're like spying against. Then there are battles every week. You know, secret stealth missions so the arms aren't raised, and then torpedoes fire and it blows up.
Commander Jose Menendez, y'all won't be happy until they broadcast Star Trek Continues, and it fails miserably.
Not sure where he's getting that from, but okay.
Yeah, I'm just lost. But anyway.
Continues are fine, but I'd certainly prefer more Intermirror Darklies.
Yes.
Better shot, look better.
Squadra Course puts $5 in. Hi, guys.
Hello.
When is a Trek story too dark or violent? Is it okay to be darker if the characters are overcoming all the bad stuff they're going through?
That's a brilliant question. Well, was In a Pale Moonlight too dark?
A lot of people would say yes, especially for at the time and for Trek, and that Gene Roddenberry wouldn't approve. But I thought it was just at that point where it's like, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, you could go a lot darker than Intermirror Darkly. They could have taken that to the next level and have like multiple people be murdered or assassinated as a result of the actions. But I think that was the right level of darkness for Star Trek, personally, and for a captain or Federation captain to have to go to. Same with the Enterprise episode where Archer has to steal the warp injectors or whatever they were.
Yep.
That's right at that edge of.
Yeah.
That's the darkness we need right there. You don't want to go too much darker, otherwise then you. And I could. The thing is, with Michelle Yeoh being there, being the Empress, it could go that way. Unfortunately, go a little too dark. She could just annihilate everybody in a certain area, even though she's not supposed to. But because she's the Empress,
well,
and she's
with the
got
drones that can disintegrate someone in one shot.
Well, yeah.
Just beams 50 of them into a room and kills everyone. It's easy.
Wow.
No, darkness. I mean, it's all about the writing. Seriously. You know, I mean, Year of Hell is a dark episode. It pushes you right deep down, you feel sad for everyone. People die. Even the Doctor has moral. It's a dark episode. Not the fault of our characters, unlike Pale Moonlight. That's a character study of he's doing dark things. Even though the show itself is brighter and there's some cool stuff. It's all about the writing. If you can, there's a moral message in Into Mirror Darkly. In Pale Moonlight. Like, there's something to be learned from it. Just having a Nazi character come in and shoot people, you're appealing to the wrong sensibilities of the Star Trek crowd. That's not the point. It's all on the writing, and you could make a really interesting, clever show that, for Convergence, my second fan film, right? There's antagonists. But really, every character, every person, everything is a shade of grey. Both have, I can see their side, because everyone should be on that spectrum. If you're so one-dimensionally evil, then you're one-dimensionally forgettable. Like Hans Gruber, right, from Die Hard. He is multi-layered, but also really simple, because he's not like he's intricate. He's not just a villain. He's very much not even a villain if you break it down. There's all in the writing. And A Pale Moonlight is dark, is bad, but it's gorgeously written, and you can see it in the characters. Garak is for it, but it tells a very rational narrative, and you understand his perspective. He's not doing it for hate. He doesn't want to do it. And Sisko, I'm watching a show called Continuum right now, and one of the lovely little continuing arcs is that, like, the second build character, he's drinking more and more as episodes go on, because he's having harder and harder time dealing with the reality of his life. And he's like internalizing the problems. And that's interesting. Like, he's doing what has to be done, but he still can't deal with it properly. So Sisko, like, if they chose to have that, I don't think he ever mentions that again, does he? What he does. Sisko. So it doesn't need to come up that much, but that would have been a natural thing for him to, like, mention 10 episodes later and be like, Cassidy, I killed a guy. Yeah, we killed a guy. But that wasn't the point. He had to sort of move past. But that's the sort of thing that it weighs you down, but also defined, like Archer, like, he got dark in season 3, and that kept with him. Like, that radically changed who he was, and that was really interesting. It's all in the writing. What have we always said? If writing is good, we can forgive visual stuff. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It might not be the best thing, but
And the fact is that neither Pale Moonlight or that episode of Enterprise was too dark, because it kind of follows the Star Trek adage, or the Vulcan adage, of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. When you actually think about what that means and how that applies to those episodes, it was a small price to pay for one person to have a stain on their subconscious of guilt to prevent the deaths of multiple millions of people. If it's done properly, it's a perfect level of darkness, as far as I'm concerned. It's
important the characters deal with it and know that it's wrong. You know what I mean? That's why Bashir was actually a really great pick to be the guy, because he is a very clean-cut, nice man, at least at the start. So he's like, this is not... But... it's... you know what I mean? Whereas if Sisko was going on Section 31 missions, the man that almost killed an entire Maquis colony with nerve gas, you know what I mean? You wouldn't quite buy it in the same way. He would go out and do what had to be done, so the moral quandary wouldn't be there as much. The Into Pale Moonlight works better because he didn't know he was doing it. You know what I mean? If he comes clean, it ruins everything, rather than he made an active choice to do it. That's why that works. But if he made an active choice to do it, it wouldn't work as well. Writing is the most important thing. That's why Moon and, like, Saw. Like, Saw's very well written, actually.
What is?
Saw, the first Saw franchise horror movie.
Saw.
It's a pretty well written movie. And it's all in, like, 4 sets, and I've seen behind the scenes. They're all in one warehouse. They built them all. It's a very, very cheap movie, but it's a very well crafted film. Have you seen the film Cube with David Hewlett, the horror movie?
No, I've heard about it, and it's one I want to watch, but I
Got the
haven't seen it.
Blu-ray. We should watch that. I really enjoy that film because it literally is one set and the bits in between the set, and it's all acting, and it's such a clever film, and it's well written. It's got some slight fumbles, but as a premise, it's excellent, really excellent, and it's got Nicola Dubois from DS9. She's great as well. Real good character piece.
Esri.
Yes. Like, so it's fun to see Stargate and Star Trek crossover. I just want to come to your house and just watch like movies, and then like, just
Let's do it.
be fun.
Yeah, guys, what do you think about this this talk of darkness? Like, how dark do you want the Section 31 show to be? Feel free to super chat if you want. We haven't had super chat in a while, so.
Well, I have a question for you.
No, I don't answer questions.
Unless I super chat.
No, it's just part of my...
Power 5 fan film super chats $5. Listen to Sam. Okay, here I am. No, Star Trek 2 Into Darkness.
Yes.
Darkness is in the title. Was that a dark movie?
No.
Right.
Because it was
explain.
actually called Star Trek Into Dumbness. It's not dark. I mean, you get Admiral Marcus, who's doing this covert, resurrecting Khan, having Khan help him with the Vengeance, this top secret military ship that's designed to go against Starfleet philosophy. That's the darkness, and it's not dark. It's a summer blockbuster film. It's not gonna. They want the younger audience there. They don't want it to be brutal. I mean, the worst thing that probably happened in that movie, honestly, was the one Khan like crushed people's heads.
Yeah.
And you didn't really see that, you know. So Into Darkness just meant into immorality, I guess. Just the fact that there's a section of Starfleet out there that we're unaware of that is doing their own thing. They have their own agenda. And I don't know. I didn't think the title really suited it, to be honest. I much prefer Star Trek Into Dumbness, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite a sterile movie.
Yep.
There isn't much of, I mean, it's got dark bits, but they're glossed over so quickly. As even Red Letter Media, I think, pointed out, that movie is the classic J.J. Abrams style of stuff's happening so fast that you don't think about it, that you're forced to think about the next thing, and so you don't go back. Like that intro is awful. Awful. Everything about that intro is wrong with the water, whereas beyond, everything on the intro is clever. It's amazing how two films can be so radically opposed. At least the Kelvin intro is visually kind of cool, it's got some good stuff to it. But the Noel, the guy from Doctor Who, him blowing up a facility with a ring to save his daughter, that's kind of dark. Being black, like that's he killed a lot of people instantly. That's kind of dark. And then
that's like terrorist action, right? So
yeah, but it's glossed over. Like that could have been a really ooh, you know what I mean? Scene, ooh, wasn't, not really. Glossed over, moved on. The idea of bombing Kronos with long-range torpedoes, that is really dark. That's really dodgy. That's very Section 31. What if they're targeting civilian zones? They could have made that really dark. This is not okay. I don't believe in this mission. And then obviously Marcus doing whatever it needs to be done, but it wasn't. It was kind of all glossed over. So yeah, it's not the best title. I mean, Kirk didn't go into darkness. Spock just went into punching. As
per the JJ Spock trope. Yep. Spock is very emotional in the JJ films.
Spock is very punchy.
He's ragey. I don't know. I don't mind darkness in my Star Trek. And that's one of the things that Gene Roddenberry wouldn't have agreed with. That's one of the reasons that after TNG kind of got out of Gene Roddenberry's hands, it became better because they kind of embraced some of that aspect. And it's human nature to...
I was about to say human nature, yeah.
Yeah, like his utopian vision of the future is great and all, but we're not going to change that much in 200-300 years. As far as... Like, you see it in Arena. I mean, Kirk still kicks the crap out of the Gorn, but he will only do what's necessary. He won't take take its life. So we're still going to defend ourselves and protect ourselves. And one of the things that kind of annoys both you and I is when we talk to Doug Drexler and talk about ships, and he's like, you know, the weapons on there are for exploration or whatever he says. Why does it always have to be ship versus ship? Because you can't go out there exploring and pretending that everything's okay and not have a big stick in case you get attacked. You can't go out there blindly optimistic like they did in Enterprise. Went out with no weapons or anything really and got the crap kicked out of them on a weekly basis. Yeah. And then realized they had to upgrade their weapons tech. And it's funny because there's even a line that says, it'd be nice to run into somebody that's not shooting at us. Because not everybody's going to be friendly. So I understand the optimistic utopian view of the future. I get that. But the fact is you're still going to have to defend yourself and do some dark stuff in order to survive. And when Star Trek embraces that and does it properly, it's some of the best Trek. So the totally utopian version of Trek and the totally dark side of Trek don't really jive for me. It's that meeting in the middle, which is more real life, more what we're accustomed to, that works.
Yes. I already had a point and I already forgot it. Poop. God damn it.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah, I had it literally until the last second you said something. It was just jumping off your point with a...
That's why I have a little notepad here. If you're talking too long, I just make a quick bullet point.
That's smart.
But anyway, while you're thinking, Captain Ron Phillips puts in $2. Picard getting tortured in TNG was dark. Oh yes, absolutely. That's one of my least favorite episodes for that very reason. I'm not big on torture scenes and stuff. But
I just remembered. So when we talked to Doug Drexler about the J, about what weapons, our first interview, he's like, "I've got friendship beams," and we're like, "No, but Doug, what weapons?" And he's like, "Oh no, it shouldn't."
Rainbow beams.
We're so far in the future, you don't need weapons. It's like, yeah, you do. What are you on about? Like that's the very Gene style. It doesn't matter. It's the future. No one fights. Like, yeah, but there's people outside that want to break in and be mean. So how many quantum phase polaron beams does it have, Doug? Tell us, Doug. Invent things.
You need to have a stick at least as big as theirs to defend yourself. Maybe a little bit bigger so that they won't bother you again.
And we hope that's the problem. Our world will hopefully one day be utopia. But there are other races. I mean, look at the Takuvama. His entire thing was the Federation's idea of we come in peace equals one day we'll be so like them. Therefore, we must kill all humans to stop ourselves being more like them. So therefore, you could never be utopian with Takuvama. His ideals just betray that.
Yeah.
And how many more races like the Dominion? If you are not in our coalition, we will kill you. The galaxy, the universe is so broad that we might be utopian, but the things out there that feel differently. I mean, in Orville, the Krill, they believe by their holy book that they are the ones destined to. They're the only true creations of the universe. It's their job to kill everyone else. Mm-hmm. That's not a convincible thing, that's just them. So some people, some creatures you can't convince, even if we ourselves can be incredible. And you can always argue that, once you start involving other races, those interesting interpersonal things start changing. 200 years into human evolution, we might be so great, but as soon as you put an Andorian or a Tellarite who's only arguing every day with you in the office, and then you put a Solarian who's all these different interpersonal things, you can't, you can't necessarily. You got to evolve how you approach the world, past utopian almost, to deal with other races. What do you think?
Yeah, and that was Gene's vision. The Federation, we all get along in the Federation, right? But I like your point about the Tellarite kind of being in the office, and I was arguing with you.
It's a big, wide universe,
It's a sticky topic because Gene didn't approve of Star Trek 6. He didn't approve of a lot of the darker aspects that crept into Star Trek.
Well, racism is a bit of a dark one,
Well, yeah, but it's sad that was the last thing he saw of Trek before he passed away. Was the fact he saw Star Trek 6 and didn't like it. It proves to be one of the most popular films. I don't know.
But that's also just because quality of script. You know, it's
Yeah,
all those
but
films have good scripts for the most part. You know,
but the man that created it didn't approve of it, which is kind of sad. And he didn't approve a lot of the TNG storylines as well because again they went a little too dark for him. Like you can tell, you can feel his optimism in season 1 of TNG because he kind of had control over everything, and there's a lot of humans are better than everybody else kind of vibe going on. I don't know. It's kind of a weird discussion we kind of went off on there. Squadra course puts in $5.
Thank
you. Adversity creates drama. Too much magic and tech ruins the story because nothing is a threat. And I know you've said that a lot, Samuel, that, if you have an overpowered ship or you have, it just takes it has to have a weakness. It has to have something that makes it interesting. You can't have something that's just a god ship because it just takes away all storytelling power, essentially.
Yep.
So, yeah, I totally agree with that Squadra course.
Because you know how the whale probe was a god ship. It left on its own volition. If it hadn't, we would have died. There's nothing you could have done. I mean, it was overpowered for a reason. This is why a Section 31, just the idea that Sloane beamed into Bashir's office or his bedroom, that single action tells you so much. How? But if you suddenly answer that with, oh, he's got a transphasic cloaked ship, and it transphasic beamed, and it disabled all the sensors. Once you start adding these layers, it's like, oh, so if they can do that the whole time, I mean,
they can go anywhere.
Yes, and also then if you suddenly say there's a team that can do that, then every problem that's happening, the Section 31 are choosing not to stop it, and that becomes even worse. This is why, the UK had quite a lot of terror threats at one point, and whenever one happens, you say, well, why aren't they stopping them? And I point out that there's probably dozens being planned right now, and also dozens being stopped right now. Because people are stopping them, that's their job 24/7. So, okay, what threats are Section 31 stopping that we don't know about? Lots. But the Dominion War, how did the Dominion War even happen? Why wasn't Section 31 just going to the homeworld of the Founders and blowing them up? I mean, do we?
Didn't they try that, though?
Well, the Founders' disease, when they did try and Starfleet stopped them.
Yeah.
But just the idea of what Sloane's ship could do is incredible. So this Section 31 ship, they're going to be so careful. And also, what's more advanced than a spore drive ship? Why isn't this goddamn ship got a spore drive? Why isn't, you know what I mean? It should have that by default, and they don't give a shit about the network, about the longer repercussions. If you can,
or about human augmentation to make it go.
Yeah,
they will make it go. They're smart.
Yeah, you slave 10 people, you give them mind-altering drugs, and you lie to them like the Romulans did to the Andorian.
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just if this ship hasn't got spore drive, it's a crime. That's a problem with inventing God technology. It really is a problem. I mean, remember, Voyager was introduced to transwarp with Dauntless. Amazing. It then used transwarp twice. It then broke.
Yeah.
That was and they killed the crew with it. So they invented the technology to get them home, then they broke it. Perfect. It created several good stories, several bits of tension. Like the armor technology, I think. This might just be the whatever. I think one of the ideas that Section 31 confiscated that technology, or Temporal Prime Directive people did. Therefore, that's why because once you gain that tech, that's why anything post Nemesis is so tricky, because you've got super advanced everything. You've got the armor technology, you've got transphasic torpedoes that can blow up a Borg cube in 3 hits. I mean, you've got end game technology, literally. How do you go beyond that? And you can't really. And so, who the hell knows what this ship will do? And honestly, it's better that they don't know what it does. It just does stuff. Don't tell us anything about it. What it can and can't do, what it should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Just let it be awesome.
You raised a really interesting point there while you're talking. Okay. Is Section 31 and Temporal Investigations the same department? Are they separate departments? Do they run into issues with each other from time to time, as I'm sure they would? or is it one cohesive branch of Starfleet that's? I know Temporal Investigations is more out in the open, more public, and I'm sure you could break it down into comparing one to the CIA, one to the FBI, whatever. One's more covert than the other. Some, the general population don't know exists. Some they do. But you think Temporal Investigations is going to show up in like the Section 31 storyline? Because it'd be interesting to see the start of Temporal Investigations or something. I don't know. I just think it would be neat because I've always enjoyed Temporal Investigations.
Why are you linking the two? I'm intrigued. Why?
Because they both have their own agenda. One's making sure that the timeline is unaltered. Therefore, they have to do covert missions in their own time or in another time to fix or maintain the timeline. As we see with the relativity and stuff, that's more generalized Starfleet, I think, in the future. I don't know if that's specifically an evolution of investigations, but with Section 31 doing its own thing, Temporal Investigations needing to sometimes go off script, I guess, to make sure that things go as planned or as the timeline. I don't know. I just think that there would be some connection between the two, Section 31 and Temporal Investigations, because they're both different branches of Starfleet, essentially, more covert operations. That's all. That's the only reason I was linking them together, is because there are different organizations within the United States government. CIA, FBI, NSA, so many other ones, and some we probably don't even know about. Covert ops and things like that, spies. So I'm just wondering how many branches of Starfleet are there, and if we're going to see an inclusion of the Temporal Investigation guys within the Section 31 show. I think it's outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah. I just think there's so many iterations on Starfleet that these guys should be so secret it's unreal. Temporal Investigations. Yeah. I mean, I would assume that there's a Section 31 agent in anything and everything, rather than them being linked specifically. Temporal Investigations needs to be a very upfront. God, can you imagine the pissed off nature of that department? It's like, oh god, another temporal oh god, another temporal thing. It must be pretty.
They have to be upfront because they do go visit somebody like Cisco and say, okay, you guys went back in time. What did you? And they have to interview them. But at the same time, if they have to go back in time to fix something, they have to be very covert. So there's two different aspects to that organization, because you don't want people know you're coming back in time. But
that's Temporal Investigations, not Temporal Changey-Wangings. I mean, obviously, the fact is they've got the Guardian of Effing Forever somewhere. So I would be fine to put the dots together and say, okay, Temporal Investigations was started, but the deeper level of that is temporal reparations was different, but temporal plaster people, and they use the Guardian to go back and change small things if they need to. But when you say that, then you say, well, why aren't they doing it for every plot ever in Trek? Because time is this weird, if you can. And then what's the point? What's the point of relativity? Because relativity should be the guys above that. They're meant to be the time cops. That's why Temporal Investigations being very surface level was kind of nice. It was like, they checked all, they had like little computer programs that checked all of the records coming in from every ship, and temporal signature, we better go investigate. Rather than they have any time powers, because I feel like that needs to be a future tech. Although I'm sure if Discovery shows them, they'll be able to time travel instantly, and it's like, oh well, okay. Everyone has it all the time, Yeah.
I don't know. It'll just be interesting to see how this plays out. Well, we're going to see more Section 31 in Season 2 of Discovery, so might get a better vibe for what's going to happen with the series as a whole after that. But secret organization runs around with black badges on their uniforms. Sigh. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I've kind of run out of things to talk about with this subject, so What do you guys think? Let us know. Lots of chats going on in the chat there. What if TNG Parallels was a result of temporal investigations correcting the timeline and creating multiple offshoots of it? I mean, I don't see why not. Somebody had mentioned earlier about the mirror universe and how they can't believe there's only one alternate reality, to which I say there isn't, but people know what Section 31 and the legend of... People know what Section 31 and the legend of the forging of the sword in the Discovery universe. Time travel fries your brain like an egg. Yeah, so anywho, you want to call it a wrap?
Well, as we always say, what's the last super chat question? You know, who wants to be the last one of the day?
Yes, guys. So if you want to claim the award, last night's stream, just as it ended, we got another super chat came in just after we had hit the end button. So
Yes.
the crown was erroneously placed on someone's head before the end of the thing.
But no, I'm excited for this week. I'm excited for the end of the Spore Drive. That's more what I'm excited for, honestly. Not specifically excited to see inside the Spore network. It seems a bit weird, and as we've talked about before, it's very sort of magic-y and... Oh, Judge Joker, I'll pay 500 to keep going. Yes, Judge Joker, we'll keep going for £500. That would support us thoroughly. And
although I don't know what we'd talk about, because we kind of beat this subject to death.
Mr. Judge Joker, I will happily talk about whatever you want us to talk about. 500. That's absolutely fine.
Right.
But no, I mean, did you finally see the trailer for this next episode?
Nope. Not yet.
Okay.
Sometimes I like going out without having seen a trailer, but if I find it, I'll watch it.
It had quite a lot of the last remaining visuals from the trailer of season 2 in it, so that'll be, pretty much where we are.
Well, I can guess what some of them are then.
Okay.
Where you see half Discovery, kind of like in the spore, that mushroom room or whatever, and then the bridge that the black goo come in, and there's probably that creature, that venom creature that we see.
No, that wasn't. That's gonna be a later thing. But yeah, everything's spory. Certainly.
Everything's spory. That's what I should have just said from the beginning.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. Although they keep revealing things, like I now know I now know what is doing next episode, the special theme next episode. But it's like, why are you telling us this? It's like, don't tell us number ones in the episode. Let's watch number ones in the episode. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yes, there's lots of little lines that are nice to see, but let us experience everything. That's why it's kind of nice that like the new Samsung Galaxy S10, they haven't revealed anything about it. So when it comes out, it'll be a surprise how powerful it is, and we have no idea. So, ooh, a surprise. So I'm thinking new phones.
We got another super chat.
Ah, got 2. Ha.
John Arkaki puts $2. Thoughts on Will Smith and Aladdin? I'm sure it'll be good. I like Will Smith, but he looks creepy as hell from what I've seen. So that's my thoughts. Your thoughts?
I love Will Smith. Everything he does pretty much is great. I'm so unbelievably excited for Bad Boys 3. So excited. It's going to be absolutely okay, if not amazing. We'll see. I mean, Michael Bay is also what helped make those great. I still think Bad Boys 2 is just a superb film. So much fun to it. But as Genie, I was like, oh, that's a weird look. Yeah. It didn't look right. It didn't feel right. He's a good cast, I think, if you want that sort of fun. But I would have probably gone for fully digital without like his face on it, rather than trying like a him with blue around it. Cause just like a fat genie Will Smith CGI monster rather than Genie or Will Smith, because it would have been fun just to have Will Smith as Will Smith but with blue makeup, walking on two legs. Like, I'd rather have that and be like a fun cheeky Will Smith that like walks around and moves through people and stuff. That would have been fun. But I don't think I mean, a live action Aladdin is dumb anyway. I think. I mean, Beauty and the Beast was good. You know. Yeah.
Judge Joker puts in £5. It says, since you're still going. So thank you.
Thank you. Pounds
And
make a big difference.
Michael Smith puts in $5. Can we be truly okay with all future Trek being some alternate of the Discovery vibe stuff if we never truly have Prime again, but it's good Trek? Yes. I mean, Prime can be its own thing and stand on its own. I hated that the fact that they tried to shoehorn this in. To me, this is the Discovery verse. This is a different universe altogether. Taking place in the same era, just in a different reality. So no problem there. But yeah, if it's good Trek, I'm on board. I love Trek. I just want to see Trek.
I mean, I'd rather any show movie take place in the 50-year canon, because then everything links, everything can connect. If you want to reboot Trek as they've done for Discovery, it appears something just fresh, new, and it sort of links in, but it's doing its own thing, and inventing new stuff that isn't quite consistent, then, you know, have that be publicly said, this is Discoveryverse, from now on we'll do new stuff. And we're like, okay, well, you're not hurting the canon, you're making new stuff, and we know, okay, you got the JJ-verse, you've got the original, and you've got this new stuff. Okay. And hopefully, at some point the creative types the licenses will change hands, and they'll say, some clever executive that actually cares about Trek will say, let's use the actual Trek from the other 50 years rather than the new stuff. Let's do something in that. And then some of them, it's really intelligent story that's just for a niche market, but it's really clever and it's low budget, but it's really exciting, and they bring back old characters because we love them, but in a really clever way, and it's really like super canon-y Prime and fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for that stuff to come back. I think I'd rather have Trek in the correct universe than anything new.
Yeah.
But that said, Beyond earned a Star Trek 4 by its quality. So, alternate universes are fine. Just don't ruin the original, because the original is better. It's a thing.
Got another super chat of 350 rubles. Discovery equals Prime. Canon never was called Prime before the JJ 2009. Prime is just the first one. Prime is what we've had all along. So.
Yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky.
And on that note, guys, I think we'll go. Thank you very much for the last super chats. Greatly appreciated.
That ups our numbers quite a bit. And so tomorrow you're going to do your post reaction, which is awesome. And then Friday we'll spend like 4 hours recording and then join you for a 2-hour live at the end of the day. But we love doing those, and hopefully it's a good episode, because we like having better episodes to talk about. It's always fun, and I guess we'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks for joining. Have a lovely everything.
Yes.
Say bye, Stuart.
Bye, Stuart.
Bye, everyone.